Hello everybody, today for you I have a Quickdraw Dandy deck list for the Edison format. The objective of this deck is to take advantage of the discarding synergy of Drill Warrior and Quickdraw and your typical Dragon Turbo engine. To start her off, we play 2 Dandelion. Dandelion has a lot of synergy in this deck with things like Debris Dragon to go into level 6, 7, and 8 Dragon Synchros. You also will be discarding it for Quickdraw Synchron in order to go into your Drill Warriors and your Junk Archers and Nitro Warriors. The discarding effect of Drill Warrior has a lot of use in this deck, being able to send things to the graveyard like Whitestone of Legends to net +1s when you use Drill Warrior's effect. It can help you set up your Red Eyes Wyverns without having to normal summon, which is very useful. And of course, as you know, you can loop Dandelions, and looping Dandelions will help protect you, and it'll also create tribute fodder for your powerful dragons. We of course played 3 Debris Dragons. As I mentioned, you'll make level 6, 7, and 8 Dragon Synchros with this, but you will also be using it to summon back your Whitestone of Legends, which puts 2 dragons on your board for you to banish for your Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon to make very large pushes. So that's an important thing to note about Debris Dragon, is the additional banish fodder for Red Eyes Darkness Metal. We played 2 Quickdraw Synchrons in this deck. These will be used to make your Drill Warriors in your early game. The Drill Warriors in the early game are quite advantageous in a deck like this with plenty of things to discard. We only play 2 Quickdraw Synchron because this is not a card you want to see in multiples. And we do play the 1 Sangan. The Sangan is what we're playing over the 3rd Quickdraw. Sangan has a lot of utility in this deck, searching a lot of different pieces of your engines. We of course play 3 Darkness Metal and 3 Red Eyes Wyvern. The Darkness Metals and Red Eyes Wyverns allow you to summon dragons during your end phase by banishing the Red Eyes Wyvern, but you cannot have normal summon this turn. So it's a little slow, but summoning a 2800 monster is very useful, and it creates pressure on your opponent if they do not remove it from the board. You're going to keep summoning back more dragons, and you're probably going to win the turn on the follow-up. We play 3 Whitestone of Legend and 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon. This is going to be your draw power for the deck with things like cards of Constance and Trade-in. The Whitestone of Legends can also be discarded with Quickdraw Synchron to gain advantage. They can also be discarded with Drill Warrior to create even more advantage. And also you can use that Drill Warrior to add back the Blue Eyes or the Whitestones that you may have discarded so you can make sure you can resolve your cards of Constances and your trade-ins, which is very useful. Because we really want to keep the level 8s to a minimum, and we really don't want to play Dragon Tuners we don't need to play. The Blue Eyes is also the strongest target you'll be summoning back with the Red Eyes Darkness Metal. In game 1, I chose not to main any Quackmere Dracos for consistency reasons. We're trying to make sure our deck does what we want it to do, not just normal summon Quackmere Draco. But after game 1, if I'm playing against a light or dark deck, this comes in a lot of the time in order to stun those decks. We play Gores, of course, and that Sangan I mentioned. Plenty of good targets in this deck between the Whitestone, the Debris, the Quickdraw, and the Dandy. We play the 1 Brain Control. We play the 1 Burial from a different dimension. This card's kind of insane in this deck, considering that you could theoretically banish 2 Wyverns to summon 2 Red Eyes Darkness Metals, and then you could put them back and then banish them to summon another Red Eyes Darkness Metal and then another Red Eyes monster. So you could really summon up to 5 monsters with Red Eyes Wyverns in a turn if you played additional Red Eyes monsters in your deck. So it can be insanely aggressive with this card. So it's a strong addition to this deck. 3 cards of Constance. We play 6 targets for cards of Constance, which is going to allow us to gain massive advantage. Ideally, you're discarding the Whitestone of Legends to net a +1. We also play the Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial acts as a pseudo level 8, and it also acts as a Dandelion send in this deck, giving it a lot of versatility and increasing the number of level 8 monsters you play without actually playing more level 8s because you don't really want to play level 8s in this deck besides the Blue Eyes, because the Blue Eyes has synergy with the deck. We play the Future Fusion, of course. Future Fusion in this deck, you are often going to send at least one White Stone or Legend in order to gain access to that Blue Eyes. Depending on the amount of trade-ins you may have access to or have used or not, it'll determine how many Blue Eyes you'll want to get. We play the 2 Gold Sark to search our powerful Future Fusion. If you already have Future Fusion, you're likely going to search things like Heavy Storm in order to clear the way for Future Fusion or for a big push. 3 trade-in, of course. You may notice we only play the 3 targets for the trade-in. That's all I want to play. We can recycle these with things like the Drill Warrior, so I don't feel a need to play more, and there's plenty of ways to access this Blue Eyes. We play triple Raigeki Break in this deck because this deck has a lot of ways to keep hand advantage in order to make sure Raigeki Break has targets to discard with the White Stone of Legends, so I think that's worth it. Also, something I've done in the past is I've discarded Dandelion on my opponent's end phase for Raigeki Break to pop a back row. Then I've tributed the tokens to summon a Red Eyes Darkness Metal, and then use this effect to summon a Blue Eyes to make a big massive crackback while popping one of my opponent's back row so they can't respond to it. Other things to note, of course, are those Quackimira Dracos that I mentioned. I don't really want to main deck these because they don't feel that good against all matchups like Hero Frogs and stuff. But I do definitely think siding 3 is worth it in this build, maybe even maining 3. I just don't really think that will increase the consistency of this deck. Blackwings, of course, this goes in. Lightsworns, this goes in. There's tons of matchups this card's almost an auto win against if they don't have a way to deal with it immediately. We have Exploder Dragon here too to help deal with cards that get in the way that you can't remove by traditional means. And of course, Karma Cut is something I would definitely consider in the side deck. This card's amazing in the Frog matchup. It's amazing in the Blackwing matchup to help clear monsters. So depending on the matchup, you may want to side out some cards for some Karma Cuts, but be wary about siding out your Raigeki Breaks because your Raigeki Breaks also help deal with back row. So if your opponent's playing something like Royal Oppression, you're definitely going to need the Raigeki Breaks in the main deck. Things to note in the side tech, you need to play Iron Chain Dragon because there are occasions where you have 2 Dandy tokens and your Debris Dragon that you'll want to use to make a Dragon Synchro. There's nothing else that's really important to note here except that you obviously need your synchros. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the deck list. I've been having a lot of fun with this one in particular. It's always great to play cards like Cards Constants and Trade In and draw a whole bunch, but at the same time, this deck takes more of a mid-range approach than your typical Dragon Turbo list. This deck means to gain advantage through things like Drill Warrior rather than just OTK your opponent. That's something I enjoy doing. I like playing mid-range decks. The explosive decks can be fun on their own, but sometimes they feel like more of a die roll. So I try to avoid things like that. Have a nice day, guys.